Stephen Donald calls for all black stars in New Zealand derbies. Will Jordan's rest sparks debate in the latest buzz surrounding Super Rugby Pacific? Former All Blacks fly half Stephen Donald has voiced his concern about star players being rested during marquee fixtures, following the surprising omission of fullback Will Jordan from the Crusaders lineup against the Blues last weekend. The decision, which saw Jordan sit out one of the most significant clashes of the season, prompted Donald to question the management and priorities of New Zealand Rugby, NZR, highlighting the tension between player welfare protocols and the expectations of fans. The high stakes of New Zealand derbies. New Zealand derbies have long been regarded as the pinnacle of domestic rugby. They are matches that capture the imagination of fans nationwide and often serve as a barometer for the All Blacks' form. Games such as Crusaders vs Blues, Chiefs vs Hurricanes, or the South Island rivalry between Crusaders and Highlanders, are not only competitions between clubs, they are cultural events steeped in history, pride, and regional bragging rights. It was in one of these high-stakes settings that the Crusaders, missing Jordan, fell 29-13 to the Blues at Eden Park. For many observers, the result underscored the tangible influence Jordan has on his side. With the All Blacks fullback absent, the Crusaders struggled to create attacking momentum, lacked composure under pressure, and were unable to close down key areas of the field. It's a funny game to rest him in, Donald said on the aftermatch with Kirsten Beeve. If he was injured, and that's fine, everyone can live with that, but it's a marquee fixture. Who's Crusaders head coach Rob Penny answerable to? No one right now. There's no high-performance guy saying, "You've got to rest him 3 out of 4 weeks, or what have you." Donald's comments reflect a wider debate within rugby about balancing player workload with fan expectations and the competitive integrity of the game. Will Jordan, the influence of a star. Will Jordan is not just any player in New Zealand rugby, he is a transformative figure whose presence can shift the dynamics of a match. Since making his All Blacks debut, Jordan has consistently demonstrated exceptional pace, tactical awareness, and finishing ability. His capacity to exploit space on the wing, counterattack from deep, and provide security under the high ball makes him an invaluable asset in any game. The Crusaders felt this absence keenly against the Blues. Despite being a well-structured team with depth across the roster, the lack of a world-class finisher in critical moments was evident. The Blues capitalized, scoring multiple tries by breaking through the defensive line in areas that Jordan would typically patrol. Donald emphasized this point, saying, "We as New Zealanders love our derbies. Don't have All Blacks resting in derbies, we just want to see the best, and he's one. You just want to see him at Eden Park, it's a big stage." It's a sentiment echoed by fans across New Zealand. Social media reactions after the Crusaders' loss were rife with discussion about Jordan's absence, with many arguing that marquee derbies are the stage where fans deserve to see the best players on the pitch. NZ Rugby and player workload management. The decision to rest Jordan was part of a broader workload management protocol recently introduced by NZ Rugby. These guidelines are designed to mitigate the risk of injuries and burnout among elite players, particularly with the 2026 Rugby World Cup cycle in mind. However, the implementation of these protocols has sparked debate, particularly when applied inconsistently or in high-profile matches. NZ Rugby recently appointed Dave Rennie as the new head coach for the All Blacks, but his appointment coincided with the announcement of the Crusaders team to face the Blues. As a result, Rennie had no immediate influence over player management decisions in that fixture. Donald pointed out this timing as a key issue. "I don't think the first order of business from Rennie after being announced as coach on Wednesday was to tell them who's playing that weekend," he said. This highlights a gap in strategic oversight at the time, where decisions regarding star player rest periods were left to individual clubs rather than being coordinated at the national level. Historical context: managing star players resting marquee players in club competitions is not a new phenomenon in rugby, but New Zealand has traditionally been careful with this approach. Historically, derbies and key domestic fixtures have been occasions where the best talent is expected to feature, both for the spectacle and to maintain the standard of competition. In past seasons, injuries or rest periods for high-profile All Blacks players have often coincided with less critical fixtures, allowing them to recover while ensuring the integrity of major derbies is preserved. The decision to rest Jordan during a pivotal clash marks a deviation from this trend and has raised questions about the current governance and communication protocols within NZ Rugby. The debate, player welfare versus spectacle. The discussion around resting players is a nuanced one. On the one hand, managing elite athletes' workload is critical to longevity, injury prevention, and peak performance during international duties. On the other, domestic derbies are cultural cornerstones where fans expect to see the best talent on display. Donald offered a solution that blends both priorities. Can we just rest them in non-derbies? We want our derbies to be full strength, the big stage, the players giving everything for their club and for the rivalry. That's where the magic happens. This approach would ensure that the spectacle of the game is preserved while still allowing player welfare protocols to function in lower-stakes matches. It also addresses the tension between fan expectations and the management of international stars, which has become increasingly visible with the commercialization of the sport. Impact on Super Rugby Pacific. Jordan's absence had immediate competitive implications. The Blues, invigorated by the opportunity to exploit a Crusaders side missing a key playmaker, executed a tactical game plan that highlighted the gaps in the opposition. The Crusaders, despite their depth, struggled to impose themselves in attack and were unable to regain momentum once the Blues had secured an early lead. The result underscores the influence that a single star player can have in rugby union, particularly in high-intensity matches. It also emphasizes the importance of cohesive team structures and the adaptability required when key individuals are unavailable. For the Crusaders, the loss serves as both a warning and a learning opportunity. While the team remains a dominant force in Super Rugby, relying too heavily on individual brilliance can expose vulnerabilities when players are rested or unavailable. This has long-term implications for squad rotation, preparation, and strategic planning. The role of Dave Rennie. With Rennie now at the helm, expectations for coordinated player management have shifted. Donald's remarks hint at a belief that NZ Rugby must establish clear lines of authority and accountability when it comes to resting All Black stars, who's Rob Penny answerable to. No one right now, Donald said. This reflects a wider structural challenge within NZ Rugby, where club and national priorities must be balanced carefully to ensure both player welfare and the quality of domestic competitions. Looking ahead, the Highlanders clash. Will Jordan has now returned to the Crusaders lineup for their next match against the Highlanders, another South Island derby. His presence is expected to significantly boost the team's attacking potency and morale. Fans, players, and commentators alike will be watching closely to see whether his inclusion can reverse the momentum lost against the Blues. Fan perspectives. The debate over resting players has generated mixed reactions among fans. Some argue that workload management is crucial, particularly in a professional era where players face rigorous schedules, international tours, and high-stakes tournaments. Others contend that domestic derbies are too important to compromise, emphasizing that fans expect to witness the pinnacle of performance in these fixtures. Conclusion. Stephen Donald's call to prioritize All Black stars in New Zealand derbies highlights a broader conversation about the balance between player welfare and spectacle in professional rugby. Will Jordan's absence against the Blues has sparked debate about strategic oversight, communication between clubs and national bodies, and the future direction of player management in NZ Rugby. As Dave Rennie settles into his role, it will be fascinating to observe how these protocols evolve, ensuring that the best talent is showcased during key fixtures while maintaining the longevity and performance of the players.